I'm not anti-medication or anything like that, but I know this. I know that large pharmaceutical companies certainly fueled the opioid epidemic, and it has been proven, and they have admitted their wrongdoing. And somehow, some way, with a Jedi mind trick, they have now been blindly trusted with their new drug that this is going to fix it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And it's non-addictive. And the way they market this is the biggest problem that I have.
I'm Flindt Andersen, founder of Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. I've been in recovery since 2001, and there isn't much I don't know about recovery. And my mission is to constantly tell the truth about addiction, to make the realities of addiction, recovery, and drug culture known, and to drive awareness and advocate change that ultimately saves lives.
And I'm Jason LaChance, a certified recovery coach with a passion for speaking with others and sharing their knowledge to help others seek recovery and maintain long-term sobriety. And this is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. Welcoming to the podcast, Thomas McCollum, Executive Director of Discovery Place. It's a 12-step spiritual retreat for men in Burns, Tennessee. And he's just a good man. Became fast friends through a conversation. So honored to have you on here with the founder of Pain, Flindt Andersen, and myself, Jason LaChance.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
I love Tennessee, by the way. We've got friends that live just outside of Nashville, and one of these days when I do get there, maybe I'll stop by and see you, just like Russel Brand, except I'm not Russel Brand.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're pretty open to that kind of stuff. So seriously, if you guys are in the Nashville area, it takes me about 30 minutes to get to Nashville. So we're right there, and you guys are more than welcome to stop by anytime. We'll feed you, all that good stuff.
Nice. Good Southern
we always
food.
offer food in the South. So
right.
Say, you're in the South when it's, are you hungry?
Right.
Come on, come have a meal.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is so important. I mean, it's one of those great things of fellowship that I think, we're all three gentlemen in recovery here that, I don't know, didn't enter the mind as much as, does that guy use? Okay, I'll connect with that guy because that guy uses. And it's so nice to be free of that BS.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely.
When did RFK stop by? And Russel Brand, for that matter.
So that was, I believe it was April. So yeah, there's a clubhouse, a recovery clubhouse in Nashville. It's been there since the 70s, called 202 Friendship House. And we, Discovery Place, we chair a meeting there every Wednesday night. And Russell's in recovery, and he just so happened to be at that meeting. And he was asking, like, so are you guys with like a treatment center, or what's kind of going on? And our second shift staff member told him what we do, and said we're a spiritual retreat for men, and that piqued Russell's interest. And he said he'd like to come out the next day. So at that point, we're thinking, maybe he was just being nice. Maybe that was small talk and this and that. And but sure enough, man, he came the next day. We didn't know about the RFK thing until the next day, which, in hindsight, Kennedys don't tell you when and where they're, I got to thinking about that. I was like, of course not. So his security team came out the next morning, and I went to the parking lot to kind of see who that was. And it was RFK's security team. And he said he would like to come too with Russell, if that's okay with you guys. I said, absolutely. So
you bet. You bet.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's 2 episodes ago I mentioned that, the only candidate that actually is talking about this.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of dig into a little bit of how much what you're doing now is just a part of your journey. And we were talking separate of this that you went through addiction. I mean, for, what was it, 20 plus years?
Yeah, I started drinking, smoking pot when I was 12, 13. Not unlike a lot of people that age. Looking back, I blacked out the first night. And that's how I always have responded to alcohol and substances. And, the thing is I also react a lot differently to not drinking than a lot of people, because once I went through that, I got very sick. I did that a lot through my drinking career. I would know that I was about to get sick and all that kind of stuff, and just not be able to, there's no off button for me.
Yeah.
I would know that it was about to happen, and I would continue going. And a lot of people through high school and all that kind of stuff partied, but it became, I fell in love. It did something for me very, very magical at the time. I remember saying at 12, 13 years old, once the vodka and the pot hit my system, I remember saying, and I barely remember what I did yesterday, but I remember saying, I feel better than I have felt in my entire life, which is kind of funny now, my entire 13 years on this planet at that time. But,
Right.
But it did something for me. And I wanted to do it all the time. I remember talking to people like, so when are we gonna, get this or get that? And there would be some guys that would look at me kind of puzzled, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe next week, maybe next weekend. I'm like, today. Why would we not want to do that at all times? And that's how I react.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a saying that I heard from a couple of kids one time that said, I never want to not feel like this again.
Right.
I mean, think about that statement, I mean, that's about as powerful as it gets,
Yeah.
and again, and of course, as addicts and alcoholics, we understand that, that statement, and then of course people are going, well, how in the world can you even understand that statement? I said, because we're addicts and alcoholics. I mean,
Right.
I mean, that's the only explanation.
And I
Right.
think that's the tough thing to grasp. But, I don't remember, Thomas, if I was telling you about the support meeting that Flindt does every Wednesday night here at Payne, either in person, you can join via Zoom. And that link is in the podcast description for anybody interested who has a loved one in recovery, that, you do a lot of great work in really trying to help the normie, for lack of a better term, understand that compulsion, that thing that takes place in the brain, that we have all these shit feelings or whatever. I mean, to be 12, 13 and to be able to have the brain make that subconscious decision. I don't ever not want to feel like this.
Right.
The people that like, oh, come on, you can stop at 2 15 packs.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Where are you wanting me to stop?
Stop in 2 days?
Yeah.
I mean,
Why would I?
Right.
For sure. It's probably as puzzling to them as when we hear, oh, I'm starting to feel that, I should stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strange statement to me. And I've heard people say it, but in getting sober and being out, I remember going to eat with my family relatively early on. I'm a year sober at that time, and I'm still, I drank and used for a long time. So I say I was still feeling like a goldfish in a bowl a little bit, just kind of, I'm doing good. And trying, everything's just so new. It wasn't that it was bad, but I'm still adjusting a lot. And I remember my uncle, he asked, the lady was going around for drink orders, and my uncle drinks a little bit here and there or whatever. And she got to him and she said, can I get you something to drink? He said, yeah. And he asked for the certain kind of beer that he liked. And she said, I'm sorry, we don't have that. He said, no problem. Give me unsweet tea with lemon. And then he continued his conversation with my father with a smoothness that I'd never seen. So that was an interesting moment for me, because I've seen him not react to drinking alcohol the way he reacts very differently to drinking, but he also reacts very differently to not drinking than I do. Mm-hmm. It really was no problem. He really didn't need that drink. He didn't need it. And I think that's also huge. An important difference.
That's huge. Hey, Thomas, I want to ask you, do you guys have family support meetings in your area?
We do. We've got, we have Al-Anon speakers come out for the families. We run a family group out here. We're always trying to do better and do more. I'll be honest with you guys. The COVID thing just really, and I didn't want to admit that for quite some time. I was like, no, it's not that. It's something else. And in looking back, it's been a few years now, but but we were all just learning as we went, and things were really crazy. And you guys remember all that kind of stuff. So we kind of went to an island system at one point. We have 3 properties, and you know, it used to be people out here all the time, you know, very essentially open door policy. And we are rebuilding the volunteer and the family program still, and trying to get traction.
Right. You know, the reason why I ask, and of course you said you bring in Al-Anon speakers, you know, when I started the family support meetings 15 years ago, look, I like Al-Anon. It's helped people. But I wanted to start something totally different. And what I mean by that is, you know, we sit around in a circle like everybody else, but unlike Al-Anon, we just don't go from story to story to story to story with no crosstalk. We crosstalk, we suggest, we give it all, man. I mean, I'm the addict in the room. So I'm going to uncover their kid, their spouse, whatever it is. I'm going to let them know what they're capable of, what they're not capable of. This is what you need to be doing, not what you should, what you need to be doing. All right. In this situation, that situation, and other situations. Because parents, I believe, are at that point, they have been, that they want solutions. All right. And again, I'm not slamming AA or NA or Al-Anon or anything, because I'm a huge 12-step guy. But it's parents, family members, they need solutions. They need suggestions on what to do here. It's just vital. So to your point of COVID, pre-COVID, we would have a minimum of 75 people every Wednesday night. I mean, it was huge, right? And then of course, when Zoom hit, we still had that amount of people on Zoom. But as soon as COVID broke, my God, we're averaging maybe 15 to 16 on a Wednesday night now. And I don't even know if you add fentanyl into that, and if that's changed the game with these parents. I don't know, but something's not right out there, because seriously, we've seen over 10,000 families through these doors since 2009. You know, but all of a sudden this has just dropped off, and you know, now it also, look, I've had parents not come back because I'm a hard ass. Okay. Right. And then it's like, I don't care. Okay. Because by the way, you're going to be back through those doors at some point. And again, I'm not trying to be arrogant here. Okay. But if you don't listen to what I'm saying, you know, you're going to be back through these doors. And yes, sir, we had plenty of them come back, you know, because, oh my God. I mean, sometimes after 6 months, after 2 years, you know, where they came back. So, well, I was just curious on what you guys are doing out there.
Well, that sounds really similar outside of an Al-Anon speaker or something like that. Our family meetings are typically ran by us and alumni family, you know.
Do you get it out to the community? Okay. So it's just not within the families that are attending or in your program. You do get it out to the community. Okay, good. Yeah.
Every Friday night, if you want to come out here, you are more than welcome to, you know. And so it's alumni community night is what we do. And I, like you, Flindt, you know, from where I'm sitting, I try to, of course, I work around alcoholics and drug addicts every day, all day. So I could, you know, I could use some Al-Anon in my life too, you know, for sure, even though I am one. But I always try to give them sort of the inside information on how we operate, and, you know, and try to arm them with that. And yeah, it can hurt feelings. I never intend for it to do that. But the way I look at it, we have a responsibility. If we're going to be the kind of place that I believe in and that I want to work at, we're going to have to tell you the truth, or we can treat you like a number, play games, make sure we don't ruffle any feathers, and everybody's happy. Now, I don't know that they're any better, but they're happy, you know? So, it's difficult, you know, this is a difficult thing that's going on. And we try to, my mentor and the guy that was the director before me, he always said, we want to tell people the truth. And we don't want to beat them up with the truth, but we have to tell them the truth.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's a motto here.
That's our motto here. I mean, tell the effing truth, because even if you piss somebody off, okay, it's not intentional. All right. But the bigger question out there, and I was just thinking about this last night, actually, because there's people around our community that they all seem they want to play both sides of the fence. Okay. And have I gotten some flack for telling the truth? Yes, I have. But guess what? I don't care. All right. Because I sleep good at night, and I'm not trying to be an ass or anything else, but I sleep good at night knowing that I told the truth, because the truth always is going to prevail anyway through all of this. But the bigger question to other people out there is, why aren't you? That's the bigger question, not you, but right. these other organizations. Why aren't you guys? Okay, why are you straddling the fence on harm reduction? Why are you going so far to the right on long-term harm reduction? Okay, or so far to the left, however you want to use it, right. and promote that for somebody for the rest of their life if they're 25 years old. I mean, what, to appease everybody so you don't offend anybody? Come on. I mean, if you're going to stand for something, stand for something. And if not, get the out of the way. That's my philosophy.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
The harm reduction conversation is, it's detailed, at least in my opinion, and the details matter, and so the thing is, from my experience in my personal life, I entered my first methadone clinic when I was 24 years old. I was highly motivated to get off opiates. I wasn't really interested in getting sober yet, but I knew I was in over my head on this. I found out what those guys that were sick all the time, what they were talking about. Yeah. And I was motivated to get off opiates, and I didn't. So,
right. Okay, I know that routine.
Yeah, I know the routine. So the thing is, it's super important to me anyway, is first and foremost to the family members that have sons or daughters that are struggling with fentanyl. I understand, where they're coming from. They said, just keep them alive. I understand that. I do. And I never want to come off as disrespectful toward them and their situation, because now that I got two kids of my own, it was easy for me to talk really, really tough before I had kids of my own. Now I understand. Now, that being said, the next thing is the addicts themselves. If I judge any addict for being on methadone or Suboxone for 10 years or longer, I've got some personal work to do, because I did that. So as far as like me being on a pedestal and thinking less of you, that's something that I really want to avoid now. But the problem that I've got is I know the drill. I know how it goes. Right. I'm not talking to the people. I'm not talking to the success stories of Suboxone and methadone. If your life has skyrocketed and you are happy, I'm in no place to judge you for your life getting dramatically better. The ones I'm talking to are the ones that I saw mostly that were like me, that as long as you had your $100 a week at that time, they didn't ask you a whole lot of questions. I got told multiple times, Thomas, the mix of benzos and alcohol and this methadone we're giving you has killed 7 people in the last 4 months.
Right.
And I said, well, I know, but here's my $100,
Mm-hmm.
And my dose is never right, and you're selling it, and
right.
There's a lot of really ugly stuff that goes on, whether it be the pregnant women that I've seen in there that end up having kids with developmental issues, ugly stuff that nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
So again, I understand where people are coming from, and I'm not anti-medication or anything like that, but I know this. I know that large pharmaceutical companies certainly fueled the opioid epidemic, and it has been proven, and they have admitted their wrongdoing. And somehow, some way, with a Jedi mind trick, they have now been blindly trusted with their new drug that this is going to fix it.
Correct.
Mhm.
And it's non-addictive. And the way they market this is the biggest problem that I have.
Yes.
The way that it's marketed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And by the way, I went through that exact same thing with the methadone gig. Okay. And finally I said, you know what? I'm doing this on my own. All right. I can't even remember. I think I took it down 0.5 milligram or 1 milligram a week or every 2 weeks, whatever it was. Walked in one day with my little box of take homes, and told them to shove it up their ass. And by the way, try charging me $300 because you ain't getting it, and I turned around and walked out. And again, my thing, and I know Jason's part of this as well, is I have no problem with short-term harm reduction. Now,
Right.
What is that short term? Right? I mean, is it 30 days? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? What? My personal belief is that it should not be longer than 3 months, to be honest with you. And by the way, this is for a specific age group. I'm talking anybody from 18 to 35 or 40. The 60-year-old that might be a street person, and if methadone or Suboxone is going to keep that person off fentanyl or off the needle, by all means, I don't care. Okay,
Right.
I don't care. But for anybody under the age of 35, to have them strapped, and both, by the way, you know this as well as I, both these medications are 2 different medications. Okay,
Yes.
Right. They're completely different, but the process of taking them are the same psychologically, and even addictively. They're pretty much the same. And why are we strapping a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old, okay, to a medication that it's going to be virtually impossible for them to get off of on their own? Okay, and so later on down the road, if they want to get off of it, obviously they're going to have to go to treatment again. And here's the big thing. Right? I own a treatment center as well, and we medically detox. We won't take anybody that's over 10 milligrams of methadone, because we can't keep methadone on our property. It's against the law.
Right.
We just can't do it. So we're going to be detoxing them with probably Suboxone at that point. All right. But now we're just swapping out. Okay.
Right.
Now we're just swapping something out. So. And I think you made a good point here. Okay, when we're talking about long-term health risks, especially on methadone, a lot of long-term health risks have not been, excuse me, come to light yet on Suboxone, but they certainly have on methadone. And as well, bowel issues, constipation issues, heart issues, sleep disorder, psychotic breaks if you stop taking it on your own. I mean, the list is long and distinguished here, and again, when we're talking about long-term harm reduction, the long-term harm reduction people are not telling people these facts. They're not talking about the potential health risk here. And the reason why I know this is because I had them all. Okay, I had them all, right? That's what scares me about this stuff.
For sure. And you're exactly right. You made a good point. Methadone and Suboxone are 2 different drugs. I tend to talk about them together because after the methadone thing, I worked my way down. I was younger. My body responded. I was motivated and arrogant enough to work my way down to 5 milligrams a day from 80 is where I started. And I could have been higher. There were people in there half my size that were on over 100 milligrams, approaching 200 milligrams. That's very normal at that time. But I worked my way all the way down. And then as an addict, this is the thing, as an addict, of course, I'm drinking the whole time. I'm a drinker. I'm drinking the whole time. I might do a little cocaine on the weekends because I'm smart enough to know that it gets out of your system in 3 days. And they're usually drug test me on Wednesday, usually.
Right.
And if I got my $100, even if I don't pass, I'm an addict. Sorry, guys, I messed up. Maybe I should up my dose. So those of you that know.
You are right on the money with all of that.
And this is how how we operate, and it's a very easy system to work. But anyway, so I get out. I say this is ridiculous to be paying this kind of money for 5 milligrams of methadone a day. I'm done. Similar to what you said. Now I didn't get a whole lot of take homes because I continually tested positive for pot or whatever. And then the thought occurred to me a day or two later. I'm not feeling so hot. Coming off methadone's tough, even if it's 5 milligrams. I bet I could take a couple of hydrocodones, nothing heavy,
right,
just to help get off the methadone. And we all know where that story ended up. Yep. And then then I go to I call it methadone light. I go to Suboxone the next time. And my behavior. And I'm going to be clear. I'm not even blaming these drugs for this. This is something that's going on with me. The way I reacted to those drugs and these clinics and that system did not improve my life. Again, I want to stress if somebody is a long-term Suboxone user or methadone user and they're happy, that's not my business. I've just seen too many people that were in the same situation as me. Those are the ones that I'm talking to. And we're starting to see more and more of it. My prediction based on my experience is eventually the new kind of drug addict is evolving as we speak. The Suboxone addict.
Yeah.
We're starting to see more of it. The people that their life's not improving, and other drugs are starting to escalate in their life, whether it's stimulants and cocaine. That's what happened with me because the problem was not being addressed.
Right. Right.
Well, and I don't know how many, I monitor our YouTube and social media of people. Well, they'll call BS if I post something up that's along these lines and like, I'm doing real well. I just, I smoke weed and drink on occasion. And I know I can't say anything to them or challenge them, but I've been curious to maybe go back to some of these 1.5-year-old comments and see where these people are at. Because it's the misguided nature of just being like, I got a Medicaid, I'm not an addict anymore. And it's like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our stuff, or maybe where we're called a hard ass, is just, hey, we just want the opportunity to see you thrive. Like, give it 90 days of no substances. Give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, well then, hey, you gave it a shot, but give it a shot.
Right. Because we're sending, in my opinion, in our opinion, we're sending the wrong message especially when we're telling a mid-20-year-old, you can't do this. You're not capable of doing this. Because again, long-term harm reduction people, it's like, no, we're just going to put you right on this. Okay. And it's going to make you feel better and blah, 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 instead of addressing the real issues of why somebody's using to begin with. Right. But the message we're sending that you're not, again, you're not tough enough. You're not strong enough. You don't have enough. You don't have enough inner strength to do this. All right. Is just, in my opinion, is just the wrong message to send.
Yeah. I agree with you for sure. And then on the flip side of things with fentanyl, there's a lot to hate about fentanyl addiction. Obviously, one of the things I've been thinking about that I really, really hate about it is it takes away that ass kicking that a lot of us need. So, telling back in the day, they used to say, well, maybe you haven't hit bottom. Maybe you need to go get some more. And I understand that. I needed to get a lot more. I had to be thoroughly beat down. I was 35 years old when I finally got sober. Now with what these kids are facing today, and I do feel for them, and we can't baby everybody to death and all that kind of stuff. But, it's getting younger and younger. You're not even out of your goofy phase. And a sober 18-year-old boy is a difficult human being anyway. And then you add fentanyl, it's very, very difficult. So, these guys and ladies, they are facing, they're going to have to start getting sober earlier, or like you said, they're going to end up, if they don't, they're going to end up dead. Or, I just hate to see young people getting wrapped up in this long-term Suboxone, methadone lifestyle, because by and large, my experience and the experience of the people that also lived that life with me was not good. It was a really ugly life, actually, for most of us.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
But that brings up another point, and by the way, that's an excellent point that you brought up, that they're getting younger and younger and younger. And so we know that's the case. It's just like I deal with several school districts, and I was at a function a couple of weeks ago and talking to somebody, and we're saying, we have stats that are showing that, 10-year-olds are smoking pot, and, and that's a fact. Okay. But a lot of districts don't want to believe that. They don't want to understand that. And I said, listen, I said, there's reasons why 10-year-olds are doing this. Not everybody lives in Leave It to Beaver land. Okay. Right. Their home life, their home environment, you've got 3-year-olds that are dying of fentanyl overdose, at least we have in California. Okay. Because of their living environment. Somebody left it on a counter, the kid touched it, blah, 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 put their fingers in their mouth, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But that brings up the point of this treatment for minors. We don't have it in this country. We could probably count the number of treatment centers for minors on one hand that actually does a medical detox for substance use. Mm-hmm. So the question stands, what are we going to do about that? It's frightening out there right now. And if I'm a young parent, that's why we always kind of go back to the education piece to this, but you cannot cover up the truth in it. You have to be able to look at these parents in the eyes and these educators in the eyes and say, please listen to us. This is what is happening out there, and this is what is going to happen if you don't make some changes here with your kids. It's
very similar. If you've got a kid that's or anybody, kid or older person, if they're a fentanyl addict, you might as well be told that your loved one has stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
Now I bet, that wakes people up. You're like, oh, and it's true. That's not an exaggeration or a scare tactic. Like if you are a fentanyl addict, you're in really, really big trouble.
Yes.
Which sounds like, obvious, but over and over and over, I'm seeing that parents a lot of times, and obviously me being an addict myself, I know how delusional we can be. I'm not seeing a lot of people really have their head wrapped around what kind of situation their loved one is in.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. And it's so true that people don't treat a suffering addict with the same sense of urgency as like you said, a cancer patient or something, similar. Like this is life and death, people. This isn't just the good time party. Like, right. All right, well, they're, they do cocaine on the weekends. Okay, great. With 70% of it laced, they could be gone next weekend. Yeah. And it happens. We saw it with those West Point boys. We saw it with a couple that their whole wedding party, they were up in Canada, and everybody but the bride and her bride, her whatever the maid of honor, Everybody else in the wedding party did the cocaine, all dead.
Oh yeah, it's happening to tourists and, you know, downtown Nashville. They're just here for a good time, wanting to party, and yeah.
Right.
So it's in everything. The quality control is not great, you know, with the guys mixing the dope up and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. It is getting younger. There is a great place here nearby called Arch Academy that deals with adolescent males, and we're getting more and more calls for younger people, and we typically refer them there. And we've got some guys that go out there and volunteer and bring a meeting out there once a week with some surprisingly good results. So that's another thing that I've learned. You know, I'm 44 now, so some of these younger dudes look at me like an old guy. But I have learned that there's younger people that do want recovery.
Yeah.
You know, and they are doing it. It is happening, you know, and it just has to. You know, that's how we end up doing a lot of really difficult things, is because you have to. You know, I heard stories about my grandmother in the Great Depression, and I'm thinking, how did she do that? How did she have this many kids and pick cotton and get it done? Because she had to.
Right.
And there was no other option. It's that or starve, you know, and with a lot of us, it's either, you know, get sober or die.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we definitely have shifted into a place in our world now where we there's a great book, Entertaining Ourselves to Death, if I recollect the title correctly, where it just is. We've got it. It's not the same kind of urgency. I mean, you know, looking back, I'm a couple years older than you. What I remember as the kids I went to school with that were poor looks a lot different than the kids that are poor now. Like they didn't have a TV. They had like one pair of shoes for the whole year. I remember my mom going, "These clothes don't fit you anymore." You know, George, I talked to his mom. I'm giving them to him because they can't afford it. Whatever, single mom, 2 kids. You know, it's changed so much now that we can just entertain ourselves in any second. I'm bored. I got my little, you know, baby television, and I can pop it on, and there you go. Like, we just have that ability that we're not having to fight as much anymore for those types of things like we used to, for the majority of people. I know there's still many that are so very downtrodden.
Oh, for sure. For sure. But it's, you know, with it getting younger and everything that goes along with that, you know, I'm just so grateful that I lived long enough to get beat down enough to do what tough guys do and call my mom.
Yeah.
And I said, "Mom, I think I'm having a nervous breakdown. I need some help." And there was nothing funny about my situation. Now, of course, I'm able to laugh now at a lot of that stuff. I'm enjoying my life and trying to laugh. But if I think back about that moment, you know, I got tears running down my face about the way I'm living my life.
Sure.
And I'm on Suboxone and everything else at that time. And it was not fixing what was going on inside of me. And, you know, so I'm not blowing my own horn or anything, but I came off a lot of stuff. And it took a while.
Yep.
And it's easy to say now because I'm feeling pretty good, but it's just pain. You know, it's real pain. You know, Flindt, you know, and Jason, I'm sure you know. It hurts. It really does, but it does pass.
It does.
The physical part. I mean, I had built it up so much in my head that I would have rather fought Mike Tyson as to go through what I was about to go through.
Right.
You know, maybe at least he'll knock me out and I can sleep. But
I understand it all too well.
That's what's so important about what happened for me at Discovery Place is I got sober. I went to a detox in an area nearby, and that was unpleasant. And I still wasn't feeling very good when I got here. I've been running and gunning for a long time. And, you know, but by a couple of weeks here and a week in detox, I'm as sober as I'm ever going to be. And I'm still not okay. You know, I don't like it really anybody around me. I'm not sure if I like the guy that they assigned to me. He's my guide. I'm not sure I trust him, and I don't like these guys. And I've got some recommendations on how they could run their program better, and all that kind of stuff. And that's for me where recovery comes in. And I'm also a 12-step guy. My reaction to sobriety, abstinence from drugs and alcohol did not treat what was going on with me. It gave me an opportunity to treat what was going on with me.
Great way to say it.
Without recovery, I hate sobriety.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm restless, irritable, and discontented. I've got a fault-finding mind. I tell myself stories in my own voice, and it's tearing you apart and me apart and this world apart. And it's tough. And that's what was going on with me 2-3 weeks sober, very sober, stark raving sober. And that's why I'm grateful for this program I've got, is to help me with that, abstinence is I'm an abstinence guy. But for me, if I stop at abstinence, what you've got is you've got a crazy guy on your hands. You got a guy that will do it again.
Right.
Because I really struggle with sobriety.
And that's the message that we're trying to get across. And when I talk about that, give it 90 days. That's what we're talking about is it's, oh, you're a heavy or what? No, like, when we're not being judgmental, what it is quite the opposite. We're being incredibly loving, because we see in each and every one of you a beautiful spirit, person, whatever terminology you want to use, that has yet to unlock their purpose. So you got to find some values. Well, I'm going to tell you, for the most part, if you're on some, your values are going to be towards that thing.
Yeah.
But when you can unlock that, then you start to find your mojo. Like, I'm coming up on my, 4th year, my longest stint after a slip, fall off, whatever you want to call it. Flindt says a slip up. And like, I'm unlocking more and more things all the time in that exploration. I used to experiment with substances. Now I'm doing it with life in a really cool way. That's like, wow, I'm capable of this. I didn't even know I had an interest in that. All these wonderful questions that I ask, and then get to explore the answer. Along with, I've met so many amazing people. Like, I can go to Tennessee tomorrow, shoot a text, come on down, let's get a meal. And it's an empowering way to live life. It just is. Like, now, if I make an apology, it's not for the that I didn't remember that I did, that I'm pretty sure I hurt someone. It's the, oh man, thank you for letting me know. I'm really sorry. And build a real camaraderie through that. So it's just this way of life that is there to unlock. And that's why we speak about these things the way we do.
Right. Yeah. And if they don't want to unlock it, then that's their choice, and I say it a little bit differently. I say, well, if you want to continue to be an asshole, well, then continue to be an asshole. All right. But it's like, let's try to get out of asshole mode here. Okay. And look, not everybody is going to do this. Okay, let's just call it what it is. All right. I mean, look, I've known people in recovery a long, long time, and I wouldn't buy them a cup of coffee, to be honest with you. But for the most part, no, recovery is good. Working the program is good, is a good thing. And I love that comment that you made, about sobriety. If you don't have a program, abstinence is nothing. Okay. I mean, I agree with that 100%, but I think a lot of time with these kids in particular, and a kid to me, obviously now, is anybody under the age of 30.
Right.
But what we try to get across to them is, just like Jason says, give it the 90. Okay. But let's start with 30. All right. Mm-hmm. Let's start there. Right. I don't like the fact that when kids go into an AA meeting, I don't want to say they're mixed messages, but they're different messages that are going on. And let me just explain that a little bit. I'm not a day counter. All right. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, now I've got 12,562 and a half days, all right, of sobriety. I could give two about that, because I'm sober today. I don't know what tomorrow holds.
Yeah.
I didn't use yesterday, right? I mean, that's my philosophy. So when you're telling a 20-year-old, okay, you're on day one. I mean, just think about that. You're day one, right? Jesus, what is day 365 days, 364 days later seems like 2 lifetimes away.
Oh,
Okay?
for sure.
Right? So, and I know everybody says take it one day at a time, but tell a 20-year-old to take anything one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's almost impossible for that to happen. Now, if a kid, and Jason made a good point too when he said that I called it a slip up. There's a difference between a slip up and a relapse. If in my opinion, if you relapse, that means that you used, you drank, whatever, and you didn't tell anybody. And then the next day you go, oh, I kind of got away with that one. You know what? I'm gonna have another cocktail. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now you got, and again, you're not back in full blown into it yet, but at some point you're going to be. That's a relapse because you're not being honest with yourself or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
A slip up. If he has a cocktail today, or I take a Vicodin today, you know what? And all of a sudden I go, why did I do that? Okay, I need to call my sponsor. I need to tell my wife. I need to tell Jason. I need to tell whatever. Okay, by no means should anybody tell that kid that's got 200 days under his belt that you got to start back over at day one. To me, that's a slap in the face, because that kid made a mistake. He confronted the mistake. He was honest about it. He told somebody about it, and he got right back up on the horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Judging a guy, if I always tell these guys, if you walk out of here, if you don't want anything we have, and you walk out of here and you go get high or get drunk today, if I judge you for that, or if I'm mad at you for that, I got a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
So that's not what it's about. These guys don't owe me anything, don't get the days for me. Now I am it takes time. I can tell you in my 9-something years sober, I also don't count days. If you ask me how many days, I know I got sober in 2015, January 2015, so God willing, it'll be 10 this coming January, but I say God willing. I just try to stay in today. It's taken me about that long for one day at a time to actually mean something. Like It's like a spiritual principle. It's a practice. It really means something. I just thought it was some goofy stuff the 12 steppers talked about. It was just some stuff you guys got on the wall. It doesn't mean anything. It's whatever.
Right.
But it has become something that actually means something to me now. It's a way for me to stay in this moment right here, right now, hopefully right here with you guys, talking to you guys about recovery and not off in outer space. Now I might leave. I don't know, man. I got this mind that's trying to take me out of here. But a lot of different spiritual practices, whether it be in 12 steps or, religion of your choice or whatever, do talk about this moment, and learning how to live my life right here, right now. And like Jason was talking about earlier, that we probably have more distractions in our lives today than maybe in human history. I don't know.
Right.
But it's just unbelievable. Like you said, I got the whole world at my fingertips right here to my left.
Right.
And can hop on and get distracted and, anytime I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but Thomas, here's the other piece to that. Okay. I think for all of us, and it's a time thing. It really is a time thing. Look, like I tell Jason, I'm in the 4th quarter. Okay. That's what it is. Okay. And as you get older, right. And if you can maintain that sobriety, look, even with you at 9 years and Jason with his time, these brains have had an opportunity to heal. The brain has come back to what we want to say is normal again, right? The normal growing process the normal getting older process. And the older one gets, you have obviously your maturity gene, whatever you want to call that, has come back full force. So even though we've all got a few squirrels in our head going on, okay,
Yeah.
and telling us one thing and telling us another, because we all got them, all right. Yeah. I think that maturity part kind of overrides that now. And you made another great point, and I know with this man right here, kids, all right, you've got kids, and I am a firm believer in all of us, and I've said it for years. Because people in certain recovery arenas have said, you've just got to do it for yourself. No, you don't. You've got to do it for those that love you and that are surrounded, you're surrounded by, because it has a tendency to heal our own hearts. When we look at those faces of our kids, when we look at the face of our wife, okay, our parents, whoever that might be, you know, I learned something from a lady a long time ago. It's about thinking in pictures instead of verbally. And it really made a lot of sense to me. And she said, snap a picture of your kids with the look on their face when you relapsed. And I tell you what, and I learned this 15 years ago, and I still have that same picture in my head today. If this brain of mine, if that one squirrel says, hey, you need to go down this road, all right, because if you go down that road, you may find a little drug down that path, okay? I go to that picture of those two boys in my head and that disgusting look, okay, on their face that dad did it again, right? And then that picture goes right to another picture of both of them smiling.
Yeah.
Which picture do you want?
Right.
Which picture do you want? Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's like I always tell people here, I could tell you that I did it for myself early on. I could tell you a lot of things. But the truth is I didn't really know what got me here originally is that I was able to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't built for the street. Real street life.
Yeah.
That's why I came here. It wasn't because I decided I wanted to improve my spiritual life. I didn't have another lie to tell. I didn't have any money, and I was getting ready to be on the street. There wasn't a lot of people that were, saying, hey, Thomas, do you want to come live at my house? I was nothing but a problem. Right. Is what happened for me. So that's why I got here. And then why I stayed early on, there were a lot of times that I was just like, I just need to get my head to the pillow tonight and try to get some sleep because my parents did a lot to get me here. Over time, eventually I did have to start caring about myself, and taking care of myself. I've heard people talk about over time learning how to look at yourself in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. Right. And that took a while for me. That was later. So I agree with you. Why you do it in the beginning, there's worse things than considering other people for once, for sure. So I started with thinking about my family and my little sister. And then over time I'm still on the journey of learning how to, nobody can talk to me the way I'll talk to me sometimes in my own mind. I'm very hard on myself kind of guy. And I'm still on the journey of treating myself a little bit better with some humility, which is not worse than you and not better than you. Right. Not talking to myself in a way that I wouldn't talk to you. Right. So, we're on a journey here. We're just learning.
We never stop.
Hey, yeah. Thomas, before we wrap up, why don't you tell us about Discovery Place and what the staff does there, and if people that are listening or maybe in that area, want more information.
Yeah, for sure. So we started in 1997. The two guys, Gabby and Joe, that started the place, they were frustrated. As Gabby tells the story, he kept griping about what the insurance companies had done to treatment and this and that. And Joe eventually said, Gabby, we just going to keep talking about this, or are we going to do something? And so they decided to start a 12-step spiritual retreat for men out here in Burns, Tennessee. So we're going to want you detoxed before you come here. We've got connections in the area. There's Discovery Place alumni that work at detox centers around here. So we've got that all dialed in. We're going to want you to be medically detoxed before you come here. And then you come here. What we do best is long-term. You know, we're going to want you to stay for a little while.
Nice. Nice.
And, like and the reason why, you know, I've heard all the things. They want you to stay because of this or because of that. The fact of the matter, the truth is the results are dramatically better if you will stay longer.
No question.
We're going to let, you know, of course, this is not prison. You know, if you're going to leave early, you're going to leave early. And that doesn't mean we're going to look down on you or anything like that. We're going to have your back regardless, but we're not going to lie to you and tell you that we think that that's a great idea. You got to be here a minimum of 30 days. And I stress minimum, because what had happened for me was that at 30 days, physically, I began to start looking a little bit better and feeling a little bit better. And I was also at my most dangerous at that point, and I didn't even know it, you know. Right. So yeah, that's what we do best is long term, and we got a fantastic community around here. There's a lot of guys that live in, you know, that stay with us as long as they can, and then, you know, the Nashville area is a huge recovery community. So we've got a community tailor made for you. So everybody that works here is an alumni. I came through in 2014, and I had to find out if I was an alcoholic too. I knew I was a drug addict, but I wasn't sure I was an alcoholic, so I had to go find that out. And I ended up getting sober in 2015.
Nice.
So everybody that works here is an alumni and in recovery. Everybody, except for the accountant. She's just a normal person.
We want them, those accountants, as normal people. Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want those to
no.
relapse or something. Yeah, right. Start messing with stuff. But yeah, we've got, you know, a 30-day property, and then our long-term property is about 15 minutes down the road. And, you know, we highly encourage sponsorship, and basically it's the practical application of spiritual principles in your life. It's an easy thing to say, but it's really big boy stuff to do.
Yeah. Yes,
I found that my biggest addiction is my way. Last time I was pissed off, it's because I didn't get my way. Right. You know, and until I can learn how to live in this world and maybe not get everything I want, you know, all the time, I'm cooked. You can forget it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Because, you know, I lived most of my life. If the world would only behave, then I would be okay.
Right.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Andersen.
Oh, Thomas, this has been great, man. It's just, we meet so many good people on this program, and you're one of them, man. I just give you a lot of credit for what you've done, what you're doing. Keep it up. You know, I mean, seriously, just keep it up. I'm proud of everybody that is just kicking ass in their recovery. You know, God bless you, your family. Seriously, man. It's just keep doing what you're doing, and things will always get better. That I can guarantee. Because like we say, you know, if you don't, we can always refund your misery, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, yeah, same to you guys. And seriously, if you're in the Nashville area, come by. We'll feed you, all that good stuff. And you never know, we may come out to, you guys are in Fresno, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes,
Fresno.
sir.
Yep.
Bulldogs fan?
Oh, you bet.
All right. Yeah. I heard about Fresno from the Chris Herron documentary. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was here. Yeah, that was an interesting time.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Well, yeah,
great talking to you guys, and I appreciate your time.
You bet.
Likewise.
Thanks, buddy.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, Please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.